My name is Elena. I'm Rubic Exchange CMO. Rubic Exchange is a cross-chain aggregator. Now it's more comfortable. I'll try not to step on the glass. I used to work for Visa before and build mass adoption of plastic cards in the CEMEA region. And so here we are to bring the mass adoption of crypto. And if you ask me what is the biggest stumbling block in the mass adoption of crypto, to me it's user experience. Because at the moment it's horrible. And cross-chain is basically, of course, a huge part of this user experience that we have in crypto. Because if you ask a random person who is very new to DeFi or crypto, can you stake a particular coin in a certain blockchain? From the blockchain you have your USDT or USDC from, they would spend a hell of money trying to understand how to do that in a decentralized way, not on a central exchange. Right now, there are almost 150 blockchains. That's a lot. Yeah, of course, Ethereum is still the king. About 58% of DeFi TVL is still in Ethereum. But we all know that other blockchains have other great things about them. Like Solana and Polygon are cheap and good for NFTs. Tron is a home of stables, et cetera, et cetera. So for users, there are still reasons to keep their money and for DApps as well to keep their projects on different blockchains. Therefore, we do need to create tools so that blockchains would speak to each other in some common language. Right now, they do not. So basically, there is a clumsy term like interoperability. It's an opportunity for the blockchains to speak to each other. And you might have heard that there is such a notion like cross-chain and multi-chain. And very often people get confused because even a popular bridge like multi-chain is called multi-chain, although it's a bridge. But actually, there is a difference. Cross-chain allows assets to move between chains with the help of smart contracts. An example would be the sushi swap tax. Forgive me, horses and all that. And an example of a multi-chain DeFi project will be Uniswap. And if you look, closely, the difference will be the following. In SushiSwap, you can, in one click, change the blockchain and the token. And in Uniswap, you would have kind of a copy of Uniswap in each of these blockchains. And it means that basically the liquidity is being split between blockchains. And if I'm a user, and if I try to swap token, I don't know, for example, Ethereum on Ethereum to Matic on Polygon, I cannot do this on Uniswap. Basically, that means although it's called a multi-chain solution, there is no interoperability in this case. But there are other examples of multi-chain projects like a popular game, DeFi Kingdom. It is built on two blockchains, Avalanche, and it used to be Harmony. Before the hack, now they're moving to Clayton. But still, in order to play inside the game, you need to use the bridge. So multi-chain solutions are not ideal, and we'll deep dive into that later. So why users need this is quite obvious. They need to move stuff. They need to move money. They need to move NFTs, avatars. They also don't like to sometimes, and it's a wise thing to do, to put all the money into the same basket. They decentralize funds. And why DApps need it is also quite obvious. It's much easier for them to onboard users who have their preferred chains. They get additional volume from cross-chain trading, et cetera, et cetera. For the metaverses project, it's again moving of different assets. For wallets, it's moving of funds, et cetera. And I should note that my presentation is actually more focusing on DApps and how decentralized applications can build interoperability and with which kind of tools. So I will not be talking about users because if we solve it for DApps, users will solve it like automatically. So what are the ways to become interoperable for decentralized applications? I will deep dive into different cross-chain solutions later, but I can tell you straight away that it's much easier to integrate the cross-chain solution rather than a multi-chain solution in terms of development, in terms of development efforts. Because to do the multi-chain solution, you need a copy of this. Sorry, it was a kind of a ultrasound block into my ears right now. Thank you for support. It looks like a new kind of weapon for the speaker if you want to pause them, like put a sound into their ears and block them. But in terms of cross-chain solutions, the drawbacks are that sometimes assets are being packed or wrapped, and they are not being presented in the best shape. And of course, all of you know that bridges get hacked very often. And last year, almost over $1 billion have been hacked. In terms of multi-chain, yeah, if you're a project like DeFi Kingdom, you can harness functionality of several blockchains, one and another. And this project can be interoperable if they're built on a blockchain like Polkadot, when there is one big parachain and others are connected to it, then there is interoperability. But if, for example, like DeFi Kingdom, it's Avalanche and Harmony, in reality, there is no interoperability. So this solution doesn't give you full interoperability. It's more secure than bridges, but blockchains get hacked too, and we all know this in the example of Harmony. One of the biggest drawbacks is that there is a need to split liquidity, because in the cross-chain solution, you don't need to do that. You simply move stuff. But in terms of multi-chain solution, you need to kind of copy your project and find funds for separate liquidity. Also, as you have seen on the previous slide with Uniswap example, here in terms of user experience, there is just one click, and in terms of multi-chain solution, there will be 2 clicks. First, you need to change the tokens, and secondly, you need to change the chain, or vice versa. And as I already mentioned, in terms of multi-chain solution, it consumes much more time for developers. So what are the cross-chain technologies for decentralized applications? There are a lot. There are different bridges, different aggregators, oracles, smart contract executions tools, signals, etc. We'll deep dive into each of them quickly. So I'm almost sure that everybody of you is aware what a bridge is. And in blockchain, a bridge is like almost the same thing as in real life. You step on a bridge, then they put you into the cage, they clone you, you get out of the bridge on the other side of the bridge, do whatever you wanted to do, I don't know, sell your NFTs or something like that. And if you want to go back, you step into the cage, they burn you into ashes, and then you go back into life. So that's basically what's happening when you try to swap assets with the help of the bridge, which is called the locking and minting process. The drawbacks are the following. Yes, you need to, sometimes it's not a real asset, it's a wrap version, or that analogy which I did with the clone. And one bridge is never enough to scale up if you are decentralized applications. You need more bridges. And if you try to integrate into your applications more and more bridges, it's more and more developing hours. Bridges are different in terms of liquidity and the swapping volume. And again, the bridges get hacked. And if the bridge which you have integrated into a decentralized application got hacked, then basically you don't have any cross-chain solution anymore. Messaging protocols or signals. These creatures are more interesting because they move not just coins or tokens, they can move anything. They can move information like smart contracts, NFTs, data, et cetera, so it's much wider. But at the same time, it's, again, in terms of developing, it's more complicated. You need to know more information, and not all of them are very functionable. For example, IBC protocol works pretty cool inside the Cosmos ecosystem, but when you try to apply it outside, you'll have problems. Cross-chain oracles are the ones who connect blockchain system and off-chain data. So it's probably not needed for all decentralized applications, but sometimes it can be useful. Also, not ideal. Any of these solutions has one of the drawbacks. Setting them, you need nodes in order to do that. Setting nodes is costly. Setting nodes is effort-consuming. It requires, again, lots of knowledge in development. There are third-party collusions because oracles can be susceptible to manipulation of data, and it takes lots of time. And cross-chain aggregators are a pretty interesting way out. What is basically a cross-chain aggregator? This is a technical solution which aggregates a lot of blockchains, and I will show you the table. Some of them aggregate up to 20 or 40 different blockchains. Also bridges and DEXs. So basically it's a mixture of a bridge and a DEX. And they're able to route the transactions through different bridges and DEXs, finding for you the best and the cheapest route, which is pretty convenient for the user. It's a friendly UX and UI. It's just one click, so it will be more, in terms of user experience, more similar to SushiSwap, which I showed in the beginning. There are a lot of blockchains and tokens supported. There are no problems with liquidity because liquidity is being split among all those DEXs and bridges which are already integrated. And also there is enhanced security. If a certain bridge gets hacked, it gets off the aggregator, they switch them off, and they can route the transaction in different ways. So here is some examples of those cross-chain aggregators which can solve this problem for decentralized applications. So as I told, from 20 to, this is just an example. There are other ones, but these are one of the kind of most popular aggregators. In terms of tokens, there are a huge number of tokens. They have also SDKs and widgets, which make development and integration easy. So that is an example how this widget could look like. In terms of SDK, decentralized applications can do their own user interface, so they can color it in whatever colors and do whatever design. The swap will be pretty fast in terms of aggregation. It's just 90 seconds. Smart routing, I already mentioned that it gives you the best price. And there is no problems with liquidity. So what I wanted to say in the end, that many people whom I speak about cross-chain with would always say that, do you remember that thread which Vitalik Buterin started back in January when he said that the future is multi-chain but not cross-chain because bridges get hacked? That's true, but we have seen with you that multi-chain solutions have lots of drawbacks too. Yeah, bridges get hacked, but at the same time, for example, if you make an analogy that driving a car is not safe, but we still drive cars because it's more convenient than just walking. And instead of stopping driving the car, we try to invent different things like airbags and more secure cars, et cetera, et cetera. And so I believe that when it comes to cross-chain technologies, the technology itself will move in the direction that it will be less susceptible to hacks and more secure. And another big problem right now in the cross-chain sphere is an absence of unified standards, because all these technologies which I've shown to you, they all have different standards. Some bridges don't have signals, some do, and those signals are different. Cosmos IBC is one thing, and any call is another thing, and there are no standards. At the moment, this is the biggest stumbling block in the development of cross-chain. And we as Rubic are really working deeply in that direction. And we hold conferences in the cross-chain sphere with our competitors, trying to work on the development of unified standards for the whole blockchain sphere. So thank you very much. Hope I made it clear. What is the difference between cross-chain and multi-chain?